Hello, gentles and ladymen. I'm Ulan Gaming, and in my ongoing videos for new or inexperienced players, today I give you a new video to teach newer or less experienced players about the counter system, what units counter what other type of units, and all of that jazz. So let's begin. There are 5 core primary unit types in this game that fall into 3 overall categories. The categories are easy: infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Now, the easiest triangle to memorize the easiest counter triangle to memorize is that all forms of infantry are countered by battlefield artillery, and then all forms of artillery are countered by cavalry, and most infantry counters some form of cavalry. However, there is enough interaction between infantry and cavalry that it's just a little too much to simply say that infantry counters cavalry. But those are the 3 basic unit categories and how they interact with each other on a surface level. Next step is to separate the 3 categories into the 5 core unit types. Infantry can be split up into heavy and light infantry, cavalry can be split into heavy and light cavalry, and artillery stays as just artillery because it's very unspecial. But there are a couple special artillery pieces that we'll go over later. Specifically, like one. A good overall distinction between light and heavy units for both cavalry and infantry is that most of the time, light units, both cavalry and infantry, have high range but low base damage, and they get most of their damage from multipliers that they get for hitting the units they counter. Heavy infantry and cavalry are all either melee or short range, and they generally have higher base damage, but no multipliers or only having multipliers in melee. These are, of course, generalizations, and there are several exceptions to every rule, but you won't know all the little exceptions until you play more and learn about them by encountering them or using them. And God knows I'm not going over every single unit in this game, because there's a billion of them, and that's what the tier list videos are for. By the way, when you're finished learning about all the unit archetypes and counters, you should totally check out my tier list videos to learn about each and every single unit associated with these categories. It also really help out those of you who are still trying to learn which ones are musketeers and which ones are skirmishers. A slight annotation is that some civs have fast-moving melee infantry that behave in their tags like heavy cavalry instead of heavy infantry. These are called shock infantry, and they only include 3 units, being the Chima runners from Inca, the Coyote runners from Aztec, and the Shuttle warriors from Ethiopia. Treat them the same as you would a hussar. Now let's go over our next counter triangle. Light infantry, such as crossbows and skirmishers, counter heavy infantry, such as musketeers and pikemen. Heavy infantry, like musketeers and pikemen, counter heavy cavalry, such as hussars or coyote runners, and heavy cavalry, such as hussars or coyote runners, counter light infantry, such as crossbows and skirmishers. This is the most important counter triangle in the entire game, because all of these unit classes are easily accessible from Age 2 with every civilization, whereas light cavalry and artillery are often restricted until Age 3 for most civilizations. Of any triangles to learn, this is the one I want newer players to take away from this video the most. A huge amount of games and matches will be decided in the Second Age, and these 3 core unit types are most of what is trainable in the Second Age. Keep your crossbows away from your hussars, keep your hussars away from pikemen, and keep your pikemen away from crossbows. Combining this triangle with the one we made earlier with artillery, and our counter chart looks like this. Now, once you get to Age 3, the majority of civs finally unlock access to artillery and their light cavalry unit. An easy way to identify light cavalry is that all light cavalry is ranged. So if the cavalry has a bow or a gun, it's probably light, and if it has a sword or lance, it's probably heavy. A primary example of light cavalry is the dragoon. Now, it's important to mention here that most heavy infantry technically have multipliers in melee against ranged cavalry, and heavy infantry is therefore technically a counter to light range cav. However, this class of units is the overall fastest moving class of units in the game, and they can fight heavy infantry just by kiting them and never letting them get into melee in the first place, which really only leaves one unit that can properly counter like cavalry instead of 2 like every other unit type in the game. This, combined with the simple fact that they are just fast and shoot from range, makes them considered to be the overall best unit class in the game by many of the higher level players. With that little precursor, light cav counters heavy cav, just like how light infantry counters heavy infantry. It also counters artillery, but is countered by both light and heavy infantry. However, if the light cav player is paying attention, they're pretty much only weak to light infantry. Overall, this is what our final chart looks like when we account for all 5 core unit types. As you can see, it's been purposely designed in such a way by the devs that every single unit type specifically counters 2 other unit types and is countered by 2 other unit types. I recommend newer players take a screenshot of this chart to consult and help you decide what is the right unit in a given situation. Now, you may be looking at this chart and think that maybe heavy infantry is lackluster since they really only counter heavy cavalry and not really much else. But musket-type infantry in particular, such as musketeers and sepoys and the many others, have overall very high damage and HP, giving them at least the capability to put up a fight against most types of units. They also have much higher siege than any other unit class listed in here, except for certain artilleries. Heavy infantry is a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none unit, and if you need an unspecialized unit that can fight a variety of things at an okay level, this is the unit type for you. There's a reason, after all, that musketeers are so popular, and it's because they can perform goodish against pretty much anything. They even have enough damage to take down artillery without taking too heavy of losses, provided you have enough of them. Alright, thank you for watching this video. I know this is a pretty short one. This is the 3rd video I've made angled towards newer or less experienced players, and I'd love to hear your ideas that you guys have for what you might want to see guides for in the future. Newer players, this is your chance to ask questions and hopefully get a video full of answers. And veterans who watch these, because I know there are quite a few of you, this is your chance to bring up more important things that newer players need to learn that they might not think about, and these ideas also deserve a video. Thank you so much for watching, have a great day, and goodbye.